Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, we'll be talking about an important issue that we generally face when we are using either Redux or we are using context, wherein the reducers get called multiple times, like more than one time, right? So, and this is happening because of multiple reasons. Okay. Now, I've created few more videos, previous videos. I think 3, 4 videos are created based on context and reducers, um, but those are different scenarios where the problems happens, right? I mean, the concept of using context and reducer, you can easily learn from ChatGPT or any video or from YouTube. But these issues that we generally face while working, that I think it's not covered in any YouTube video or any Udemy course or anywhere. So I thought of, covering this up through multiple videos. So please go through the previous 3, 4 videos that I have covered as part of this. Okay. So I'll share my screen, then we'll discuss wherein what happens. Uh, about the problem that really happens. Um, so let me open the README. So here, the reducer function is triggered more than once. So how to prevent it? Okay. First, let's discuss first, and then we can write some code. Check if there are two providers mounted. So basically, what happens is that when you are having a context provider, basically you create the context, or you create your kind of your reducer function. If you are using Redux, the React Redux or Redux toolkit, you will be using your reducer function, and then you are exposing that particular reducer function or action where we will be dispatching it from your component, and then this will be cached mode. That is how we do, right? In the context also, what we do is that after creating the context, we expose the context using a specific component. Is called a provider component, and then provider will be used to wrap the particular feature level component where you want to expose this context, or the entire application. If you want to expose, then you have to wrap the entire application app component basically with this provider, right? Now, what we have done is in the wrapper.jsx file, we are having this particular provider that is wrapping these 4 components here. So these 4 components will get the entire context state. So the entire context state I've already created, where this is the entire context state, initial state, and then this is the reducer that can modify the initial state. The different reducers are there based on the action type of action. Now we are updating the reducers, right? Now, using use reducer, we are created the reducers, and then the initial state is passed, and the state and dispatch. So this state and dispatch will be dispatched using we can create a I've not created that, but you can create a kind of a const. So basically, use wizard is something you have to create a utility function. So I'll just write here use wizard because I'm getting a step wizard. So I just wrote use wizard. So this use wizard will be using use context. Okay. Now this use context, what it will do is that it will use our context, and then it will expose our context. So this context we have to create it above, not here, so that our use widget can use this particular context. I mean, this code you can easily get from Copilot or ChatGPT. But what I'm trying to say is that const. This will be step wizard. I think this context is there already, where we have created, yeah, step widget context. This is what we have created the context, right? So I just need to pass this context to this use context. Now use wizard, what it does is that it will, using use wizard, we will get the state that we are state of the, that means the context here in the terms of context in Redux, it is called the state, right? That will be getting it. So where getting it in the component wherever we want to use. I mean, I'm not going details into how to use it, that you can easily know. Basically, I'm just giving an example. Now, if I want to use it, what I have to do is that I will get, see from the context. Yeah, I've used, okay, directly I've used use context here. Now you can use that like this also you can do, or you can use now use wizard, because the use wizard utility function I provided the context altogether. So no need to provide the context here, right? This context is no need to provide it here, because I think we are getting it. So the use, because use wizard will be using the context, so no need of doing that, right? This is how we are using it, but our scenario discussion that we are doing is different. Okay. Now this is, right? You can get the context and dispatch that I am providing it from this particular thing. Um, and then what I'm trying to say is the provider. The provider is important, right? So step wizard provider, right? Constant step wizard provider. Okay, now this is simple component. This component, what it will do is that it will kind of accept the children. Basically, see here what we have done in the wrapper JSX. I'm passing these four components, right? These components will be received children to this. I think we don't need to write like this. So this will be context provider. Okay. So, okay. Done. Now this will be this we will obtain here in the form of children, and then this guy what it will do is that I think here this okay, so I think this reducer will be there inside this is what I'm feeling, because this part yeah, it shouldn't be here. So I think this in the earlier video I've done like this just to explain the scenario, but I think we can will be getting this particular component created, and inside that you can use wizard. Okay. Sorry, use not use wizard. Use wizard is a separate thing. It's a utility function, simple to expose the context. It has no relation with this. Okay. Use wizard is a simple utility function to expose this context. Instead of importing the context in every component, I just created this utility function where the component is the context is there, and I just expose it so that you can get the state from there. Okay, that's simple. This has no relation. This thing has no relation with this. This is where we are just getting the reducer, getting the state in dispatch, and then dispatching and providing the particular state in dispatch to the component through the children. Now, in the children, what it will do is that, so basically, this component, what it does is step wizard provider, whenever you are using this guy, what it will do, it will use the particular kind of step wizard context. Okay, this context, and then it will write the provider. Okay, and then here it will be providing to the children. So now what we have done is I am having my context. Okay, this context has a provider. Okay, that value also you can get it. Basically, if I don't remember the the syntax perfectly, but there is something called the value where you can provide the value, and that value will be, I think, the state, right? Because that is the state you are providing to these all the basically the children is what? The children is the this component. To these all these components you are passing the state. So this is correct, I think. Okay. So this provider is used to provide the state, that means the context, okay, to the children. Simple, right? And wherever you are using the provider, there you are passing the state to the component. Now comes the problem. Now the problem is check if there are two providers mounted. Now you see how many providers are there here. There is one provider only you have used, right? Sometimes what happens when you are exposing, the children might not be the component altogether. This component can be part of a parent component kind of, or maybe a wrapper, right? So imagine that I could, okay, this is the wrapper, right? Imagine that I will just create one more, maybe a sample wrapper kind of, one more wrapper, or maybe a separate component. Okay. Think that this is done in a separate file altogether. Okay. Now this guy, what it does is it will return this particular return. Okay. Return this particular all the components are there over here, right? Because there can be a layout kind of a component, there can be some wrapper kind of component, and then this okay, let me write it as layout. Okay, so that we'll have a separate name altogether. Now what happens is that this layout I will be using where? Over here, right? Okay. Now you think that here this is also correct. Okay. Now I don't think we need this value anymore because I'm providing it inside. Now this layout is is wrapped using this provider component, right? So this is passed as a children to this particular provider, which is using it to provide the state to this particular component. That means the state is received by the layout, and the layout will receive this kind of state, and then you can use it inside the component. Now imagine I use the same provider over here also, right? maybe here unknowingly. We don't know. I mean, unknowingly somewhere you make the mistake, right? I will wrap this particular belt because we don't know. I mean, someone came and someone did some change in code, or maybe this is done directly, but unknowingly also, indirectly also, you can do it. If we do, then the problem happens. Now you see what I did here. I have wrapped once, again I have wrapped. Now these two providers are there. These two providers will be getting two instances, right? One instance will be the layout, one instance will be all the layout. One instance will be layout, instance will be all the components, right? So two instances of the same provider we have got. Now this provider, what it does, it gives access to what? It gives access to the reducer, right? Because we are passing the state here, right? It gives access to the reducer. Now the reducers has what? The step widget reducer. That means all these methods are coming inside the step widget reducer. Right? Now since there are two instances of the same provider, so that means there are two instances. If you dispatch once, twice this particular function will be called. Okay, well, that's the reason you have to check that you don't do wrap the components in two different places. Okay, that is the first explanation. Wrap your tree once and be sure no child file imports and mounts second provider. Okay, that is first instance. Okay, I hope you understood. So a single dispatch is handled by two routers. Yeah, the single dispatch. So basically what it does is the dispatch example have I given maybe in the first step form. Okay, suppose this dispatch you are doing, okay, then this dispatch will be done once, but what is the update first from alert state? Update the first from alert state is update first from, okay, is the update first from alert state. This reducer will be called twice. Now, if it's only a get call, we are just getting some values, that is okay. If you are modifying some value, then that is the problem. Okay, because this is updation, and I think we are just adding something. If suppose you are going to the next step or navigation kind of thing where you are adding something, subtracting something, then if it is calling once, then the value will be changing, and so if you are dispatching something when you are clicking on the back button, then instead of going to the previous step, it will go two steps back. Or if you're clicking on the next button, instead of going one step ahead, it will go two step ahead, right? That problem will happen at that time. So to prevent that, remove the second provider. Okay, if you have mistakenly used. Second is a use effect also called the same dispatch. Okay, now suppose there is a dispatch that is happening at see, this API call is called when. Okay, in the handle submit, the API call is called. So there is one dispatch update first form is there. That is fine. Okay. Now, maybe this is, I think, in the form submit field. That means in the creation of the form, in the create state, you are giving some value. It is changing here, and then you are submitting on submit on the on submit event. This event handler you call and you dispatch it. Okay. Now the same dispatch, if you are doing in edit mode, in the edit mode, you don't have to do a handle submit or on submit, right? You just need to show the data. That means you have to make the API call, get the data, and then show it, right? So I'll just show you an example. So in basically in okay. So in edit mode, what you guys do here? So here, kind of you want to get the data, right? So here you are submitting the values over here, right? So here you are submitting something. Okay, in the handle submit you are submitting, and you are doing the you are doing the API call here for fetch or submit or whatever, edit or everything. One of the dispatch that you are doing inside this, imagine that one of the dispatch that is fetch API call. For example, after a call, you get the value, and then maybe you are going to the next step. Okay, think that you are going to the next step. So in the next step, if you're going to the next step, dispatch, I will just say type equals to, not equals to, this is an object. Okay, next step. So this is the type. Okay, and the payload will be, maybe we don't need the payload, right? Just next step we need, right? Why need the payload? We don't need the payload. Okay, so here I'll just write here const update, not update, move. Okay, this I'll write next step, right? The next step, what it will do is it will take the it will take the current state. Dot. So I take a copy of the current state, and what I will do, state, uh, sorry, uh, so current step is current step plus 1. Okay, so I'm moving to the next step, right? Similarly, I can do it for a previous step also. Okay, now this will be previous step. Okay, extra space at below. Now, so for that, two different will be there. One case will be just now located. Next step. Okay, we don't write the semicolon right here. And this will be here to write. So update. Right, not update. Step. Okay. Similarly, for the type of previous step, this will be previous step. Okay, simple. Now, whenever this particular dispatch happens, that means here the dispatch happens. So it is, I'm doing the API call, I'm doing the next step dispatch. Okay, so imagine that I'm using the use effect. In the use effect, I'm doing the API call, maybe for the edit kind of, I'm doing a dispatch. I'm getting the edit call. Okay, I have to write summon dispatch. So this is type, maybe get data something. Okay, there is no need of payload, and along with that, after getting data, I want to move to the next step. That means I am doing the same dispatch, right? I'm just giving a scenario. This might not happen, but sometimes you never know when complex application. Okay, basically, I am doing a dispatch here. After do the API call, maybe I'll do the instead of this, I'll just do a fetch API call one more time. Okay, no need to dispatch it 2 times. Okay, suppose this API call I'm doing on use effect as well as I'm doing a dispatch. So this dispatch happens in use effect. Next step dispatch happens in use effect, as well as the dispatch happens after the API call is success, right? In both the scenarios, the same dispatch happen. I mean, this might be also the reason. Okay, so how to prevent this? So I'm having the dispatch after doing the API call. I'm having a dispatch after the use effect, right? So in that case, you have to handle it only once. Once is like, don't use the dispatch directly inside use effect. Okay, so that is the reason sometimes problem. So this you don't use. You do it only once. Okay. I think that is what I have written. Remove the dispatch from use effect, keep it only in a handler, or add guard to it. Okay, using use reference. So using use reference also you can use a guard. So basically, you create a reference object, reference variable, and then check that whether the dispatch has already happened. If it has happened, you check. Take the reference dot current initially will be false, next will be true. So only when it is false, do a dispatch. If it is true, don't do a dispatch. That is a guard that you can use it. Okay. Now, third is the click bubbles to a parent that also calls its own dispatch. Okay, this is very interesting. So basically, what happens is that, um, so suppose a dispatch is there which is happening after. So like here, in the form submit, it is happening, right? So imagine that there is a click where there is some dispatch you are doing. Okay, and now this click with the same type and payload is same dispatch is there in a parent component somewhere. So whenever you are doing a dispatch through click any event, you have to, what you have to do is that you have to stop propagation of the event in the child level so that it doesn't kind of moves to the parent level. So the propagation doesn't happen to the parent level, because parent is also listening to the same event handler type, right? So what I'm trying to say is that if you are having this is for a submit. If for a normal click it is there, some dispatch you have done, handle click, suppose handle click, right? Handle click, okay. And this handle click, you have to write here something like event dot stop, not event dot stop propagation. So when, and then you do your whatever you want to do here, dispatching or anything you want to do. Okay. These if you do this, what will happen is, so suppose this is first form, first step form. So maybe in the wrapper component there is a similar dispatch that is happening, right? A dispatch with maybe up next step or previous step, whatever, same thing with the same type. Then this will be prevented if you use, if you stop the propagation at the child level. So remember, you have to stop propagation at the child level so that the parent also doesn't triggers it. Okay. That is the third. So on the yeah, that is what I'm, or delete the parents listener, and delete the parents listener also you can delete it. Fourth and finally is, this is very simple, that the handler is involved in. So basically when you are clicking it, you are directly calling the handler. So when you are directly calling the handler, what happens is that even if you don't click, the handler will be called. So the dispatch will happen because inside the handler you are having the dispatch, right? To prevent that, you have to just pass a reference of the handler to the on click, and then you have to kind of or you have to do in this manner. Okay, so that is the four ways in which you can manage these multiple calls, and then this is extremely helpful while you are doing work in office real-time work. Okay, hope you like this video, and please share it with your family and friends, and then you can I'll stop the share now, and you can please subscribe to my channel also, so that I'm coming up with a very good course where I'll be one will be on system design, another will be on data structure and algorithm. That will be helpful in in your interview preparation. That is very essential, and I'll be creating a lot of other courses on HTML, CSS, React. All will be available in Udemy. That is, I'm working right now. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much.